Good. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Yep.
Now can I talk? All right, so with the changes that we've made, plus or minus, we are now down 1 penny. 1 penny per thousand. So, I don't know if there's any spots anybody wanted to revisit.
I would like to
Yeah.
look at this. These numbers are the same. But this number is different. Where does this number come from? Is this all this?
Plus this.
Yeah. Missed that day in math class. Thank you. Good.
Yeah.
So when you say we're down 1 penny per thousand, we're under 1 penny per thousand less
Yeah, than where we were.
than where we were. Okay,
Yes.
we saved even more money doing more stuff.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. To answer one question, Bob, your question last Thursday about can we combine road maintenance and improvements? We can't.
Can't?
No, I spoke to the state controller's office this morning, and he said, no, you have to keep them separate.
Okay. So, can we just jump in wherever?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess the biggest one was the ask from the highway department to increase that both of those codes. We're not doing that then, because it's at 609 and 289, which is where it was originally.
Yeah. Whatever we had originally,
14.
I don't think we touched that at all.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't
I'm
think-
fine with that. I just wanted to make sure everybody else.
What was your question, Bob? I couldn't hear you.
Okay, so what you were just talking about, road maintenance at 609, on page 14 of this sheet, 609, 110, it's exactly how what was originally proposed a few weeks ago, and then 289 is exactly the same, and I am fine with that, but you
Yeah.
know, the superintendent came in and asked for another 350 or something like that, or something.
I think it was 300.
Yeah, his numbers were $300,000 higher than
Right.
what we put in
Okay.
here.
All right, okay.
And the reason we did that, and I explained this to Jerry, was that 300,000 that we took out, there was 300,000 that were essentially grants. I mean, a grant from the county, 30,000, and then another, it was what, like 260 or something like that
For
from.
Patchett?
Yeah,
For
the
Patchett,
100
yeah, so
grand for
close to
Patchett.
300. That was money that came to us, you know, from outside revenues that we don't have this year. So
That's good.
what we did was we took that out, but everything else he got. He got everything else in there. So that remained the same for him, and we don't have to do Patchett Road this year. So hopefully we can, I know he talked about doing Connell Terrace. I want to talk to him about doing Connell Terrace. I think that's a road that we need to have done. Now, we also talked, Dave and I talked, excuse me, Dave and I talked about if we do get paved New York and other monies come in allocated to the highway, I think we should move it into the highway. We'll put it in another account, and then we can hold that out when it comes in, you know, ask the superintendent what he plans on doing with it. And,
Are you okay?
allergies. It's
You
allergies.
might want to put your mask on, Bob.
I'll put it on.
No, you don't have to.
But,
Are you going tomorrow?
I know, I get this cough every year. But if that money, we talked about, if that money comes in, we can always do an amendment to his, what's the form?
284.
284 form, when it comes in, if and when it comes in. So, then we could do, you know, that additional 300,000 we looked at, whatever portion we get back, we can,
So essentially, he has the same budget he had last year.
yeah, without
Right?
patch.
Basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
The
it's,
same
that's the
budget
same.
he had last year.
Same budget he had last year, and when I talked to him, we did the vehicle, or his equipment line, We adjusted that last year, and we're following right with that. He's getting the equipment he wanted, and I asked him early on this year, I said, look, it's gonna be a difficult year, so if you were to have to choose between roads or your equipment, which would it be? Equipment. He told me the other day, I said, okay, you know, because we're gonna have to make some difficult choices. So if we do get that money, and we can always adjust to the money that goes into his road maintenance and improvements, but everything else is the same for him.
So, Dave, could you just, and I mean, maybe for everybody's benefit, but just, all right, so where do we stand with fund balance in terms of the percentage? How much money is gonna be in the bank as a percentage, as a total number, and what that means as a percentage of our, you know, the whole.
And where do we find, where do we see it?
Where do we see that?
Well, you're not gonna see it here.
Right, exactly.
So that sheet that I referred you to last night. So if you take, hold on, I'm gonna take a second to,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
so that's $1,695,000. We're talking about allocating 475. Your total budget is 5.1.
That's right. Where it is.
You talking
You
about
can't find?
the sheet here, the
Yeah.
estimated fund balance?
Okay, so if you take a look at that sheet, right? So you'll see that the estimated fund balance in each one of the funds is $1,801,151,536. So that totals $1,695,000. Out of that number, we are appropriating, hold on a second, 507, which is on your new cover sheet.
Yep.
507. And that number changed, just let me explain why it changed. It changed from 475 to 507 because that money that we have set aside in that reserve, the 30,000 that we
Yep.
talked about we were going to
Yeah,
use,
you added it to it.
I added it to it, all right? Because that's part of the fund balance, all right? So if we take that 1695 and subtract 507, I subtracted the wrong number. You get 1,188,000. You divide that by the total budget, which is 5.150. So that gives us 23%. So 23% of our unallocated fund balance, it will be unallocated fund balance.
So that's really good.
That's good.
So-
That's
Very
excellent. Wow, I like that.
I do too.
Good job. And just moving all along, the parks equipment on page 7 of 15, unless it's somewhere else, it probably is. It's 27,500 on this sheet, and that doesn't jive with the fact that we agreed to buy a tractor at $25,000.
Actually, it's gonna be more.
So I just picked that one up too. So where are we at with that?
Did he give you that, did he give you those numbers yet, Dave? On the tractor? He
Tony,
didn't give you the numbers. Okay, so we're at a 23% fund balance, so we got some room to,
We can do it.
we got some room to move, and that, you talked him into 35 horsepower, and it's,
You should have the 35.
no, and you made a good point, no, you're right, I mean, and that's what I said to him.
Changes.
I said, you know, he had 25, and then you said 35, I said, look, what I'm asking you is, will 25 do what you need to do? If you're telling me that 25 will just barely do what you need to do, I'm with Bob. We need to, we want to make sure that it can do everything we can do.
And then some.
And then some, right. And so after talking with him, you were right, it's gonna be, you need the 35 horsepower, but it's probably gonna be, that number's going from 25 to 35, about $1,000 of horsepower. Now, he hasn't got, we haven't gotten the numbers from him yet, so they aren't plugged into this, but.
So
for
what
20
tractor are you talking about? We did budget the second item from the bottom that he requested?
Yes. But on page 7 to 15, the parks equipment adds up to 27,000.
27,500.
So that's
So
not
it's
nearly
the
enough. So it should-
1,500,
Yep,
1,000,
yep,
and 25,000.
right, and what we're saying is it should be 30, right?
Well, it's gonna be, probably gonna be more like 35,000. So right now, we're short 10,000 in that.
Well, plus we got, if he's gonna trade in the 87. that-
Right, he's gonna
that-
trade that in, so we're gonna, and that's what we talked about. He hadn't added the trade-in value, so that, that number's gonna go up a little bit, but not to the point where it's gonna affect that fund balance that much. 23%, frankly, I thought it was less than that. That's a lot better than you know, I thought we were gonna be at, so that's good because it gives us a little room for flexibility on some of these things.
In these numbers yet, we don't have the phone system yet, or is that
No.
put in here? Okay, so that's
Phone
not
system is in there,
There
no.
were a couple of things, phone system,
Mhm.
insurance rates, what was it? There were a couple of things. One was the phone system, one was.
This was yesterday's.
Yeah, did we add
Well, even before
the 30,
yesterday's.
you had the phone system, you had the, well, you had the, that just came up, the heating system on the highway, but we're gonna take care of that this
It
year.
was the trees, the park tree, it was
Yeah,
the trees,
Right, the
the
trees
phone system.
and the gas tank, decommission.
Okay,
Is that stuff included in that?
Well,
That's
no
reflected.
phone, but,
No phone, but the gas and the,
yeah.
how much of the trees did we allocate for that?
something more than we're.
Um,
What page is that on, Dave?
86. I don't know if it's the 10,000, or I mean 6,000. Hold on a second, I need something.
Yeah, I don't think.
You know what?
We were waiting on that
I think
number.
you're right. I think that it was, where is it now?
There was 6,000, 9,000, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes. I got
right.
15,000.
So $6,000 for the tree removal, $1,500 for these picnic tables.
Yep,
The pickleball courts, the number was changed from 11,500 to 5,120.
5120, yep.
And then resurfacing the courts for
Yep.
15,580.
Yep.
That comes to 28,200.
200, right. Okay, so we had, then that's 6,000 for the trees then, right? That's what 6,000 for the trees?
Yes.
Yeah, so right now, from talking with them today, we should have an estimate by tomorrow, but I'm thinking that number for 40, I think he said 46 trees, that includes the big ones. That's 6,000. After talking with them today, that should be more than enough to cover that.
Nice.
Yeah, so we should have a little bit left over in that.
To
Then
include
we-
the stump grinding that we can throw that back over in that.
No, that doesn't, I mean, we certainly, depending on that number, we could have the stump grinding. I think the stump grinding, the number he got was $25 a stump. We're talking about $1,200. So if that number comes in low enough, then we got 6,000 allocated. I'm gonna, what I'm gonna do is have them make sure, get a written estimate on that, and we'll plug in the stump grinding too, because they have to be done, because they will cover it, and we should even have a little bit left over to help us with the excess in the tractor. So if we have to put any in there, it should be a nominal amount, maybe 5,000 additional, depending on what we get for the tractor.
So that we could subtract 9,000 from the 28,200 then?
No,
No.
that wasn't included.
That's not
Okay.
included.
No, only 6,000 of that was
All right.
included.
So we got, but we're hoping to get it covered with the 6,000 anyhow.
From what everything
no
he's been
guarantees.
telling me, yeah,
Right.
everything
No
he's been
guarantees.
telling me, we should be really good with that.
Okay, so as far as numbers that may be added into this budget,
Would be an additional, whatever the difference between the 6,000, if that covers it, whatever's left over with that, and whatever the additional amount for the tractor, minus whatever the amount they give us for a trade.
okay.
So-
So the additional amount for the tractor, the phone system, which was about a $3,000
Well, that's-
difference, was that about 3,000?
Yeah, roughly, yep, 3,000.
So that was about 3,000.
On the high side, right.
Any raise that we may discuss, that's another increase into the budget as well,
Yes.
okay? So we're gonna, so whatever that is. So there's the phones, I'm just trying to get, I'm looking at our fund balance, I'm looking where
But
there might be a little,
depending on what we do with the contract negotiations, there's gonna be increase in salaries, but there's also gonna be savings in there as well. So, not knowing what it is, I can't tell you what it
Right,
is.
right.
But
I
there's
understand
going to be a savings as well as an additional cost.
I understand that, I'm just trying to see how much the gray area is the gray area within a
We're-
certain amount?
We're pretty close. We got
It does
the,
look like we're pretty close.
yeah, we got the 3,000 for the phones.
Yeah.
The additional amount, we'll, just for the sake of talking, we'll put 10,000 in for the additional amount on the tractor, because he only had
Okay.
25 in there. That'll definitely cover it. Now, there's 6,000, everything you told me should cover the trees as well as the sump grinding. What was the other thing we were just talking about?
Tractor, phones, three for the phone, 10 for the tractor.
Yep,
6K for the trees, and if there's a raise as well.
But the trees were already in
The
there.
trees are
yeah,
already,
yeah.
the
Six
trees are
are
already
We're
in.
only
sorry,
looking
yeah,
at 13,000 right now.
Right, we're looking at 13 plus any other.
There might be some minor tweaks with this. I'll have to go through. I mean, because as I'm going through this, I just want to make sure that we're covered for training and things like that with people, because we're going to have to do some additional training. Plus,
We
I
haven't, we just moved it less than a half a cent.
Just now, right. Well,
right, so
and,
we're still in the black. Yeah, so, but the governor put some unfunded mandates on us for preparation for COVID or COVID-like thing in the future. There's gonna be a cost associated with that. I have no idea what it's gonna be. Tomorrow I'm going to the Associations of Towns. We have our first meeting. I'm gonna bring that up and see if we can collectively come up with, you know, what we think.
is it tens of thousands or?
No, wouldn't be,
What is it?
no, wouldn't be, it could be thousands, you know, but I don't think, you know, just guessing, I don't think it would be over 10,000,
Okay,
you know, but if I was to guess, I would say somewhere around 5, 6, 7,000, that's what I would guess. Because I don't know what how much of a stockpile they're gonna mandate that we have. And even if, after talking with people tomorrow, we might wanna do that anyway. You know, I'm gonna see what they say. How much training goes into that? I don't think it's gonna be exorbitant. We can do our own, you know, because it's all new. We can do that. I can do that. But, you know, there's gonna be a nominal cost.
so what I'm doing, just so you can follow my thinking, I'm looking at the unappropriated fund balance at 23%. And I'm saying, and I'm thinking, we don't need to carry 23%. So
Right.
then I did a quick calculation to see.
Well,
What do I bring it down to?
Well, here's
that
the
we
other.
can-
Well, as opposed to, if we have 23%, maybe we revisit, we took 300,000 out of that
What's the norm to have?
out of Jerry's line item. One of the
usually
things I think
somewhere
we should do
between
is,
18
I really think
25
we should
usually.
make sure
Somewhere in
that
that
common
range.
terrace is part
It's
of
a
that
good number.
equation,
It's a good number.
you know? I really think it should be.
Right.
Because, I mean, looking at it, looking at the deterioration of the road, the water problems they have up there, and if we do that, that's a 50-year fix. That road won't have to be done, according to Al, for another 50 years. And if we have a fund balance like that, and we need to get these things done, you know, I'm not saying commit to it today or anything.
I don't see
You know, we should-
300,000 there. I don't see that much there.
No, I'm not saying 300,000, but I think we could take some of that and make sure that that road gets done.
And we can do that at any time.
And we can do that anytime
we can
before the
modify-
20th.
we can
Yeah,
modify
yeah,
the budget.
absolutely.
No, we can do
No,
it next year.
do it next year.
We can do it anytime.
I wouldn't mess with this.
Exactly. Don't
Yeah,
mess with
Do it in May.
See how things are going.
Okay, yeah, and not only that,
Things might pop
not
up,
only
right?
that, we can look at, you know, Pave New York might come in, so we might not have to tap in as much as that. Yeah, okay, I'm
Right,
good.
yeah, all I
I'm
was
good with
looking
that.
at was
I mean, we're
how
under
much is there.
an increase, and we're getting a lot done with this.
Right, I agree
You
with
know,
you.
I mean, I think so. What do you think, Dave?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think, you know, we're addressing some building issues,
Yep.
we're addressing equipment issues.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree,
Yeah,
I mean, like I said, I was looking to see, make sure we could cover the rest of this and still come in where we want, and I'm seeing that we can. I mean, minus Connell Terrace, because that was a little bit big, but the number that I'm looking at, you know, shows that we can actually get the miscellaneous items in there and still come in at the tax rate.
But you don't have to commit to them now, Peter, is I guess the point. You
yeah.
can
No,
do
that's,
it, you know, see how things are going.
No, that's a good point,
2021,
yeah.
And then you just do a budget as
Right.
modified. You just modify the budget. Because you've got the money in the bank. It's, you know, it's like deciding, well, we're not gonna put the roof on today in your own house, but let's see what happens next spring, you know?
Well, we were conservative on the revenue side, I believe, too, which means.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
may-
I mean-
That may
See
help
how,
us
see
out.
how it all
Exactly.
fits
It-
together.
The picture
that
might
could be
break.
better.
No, I'm in total agreement.
This is a good position to be in.
Yeah.
Now, while we're talking about highway stuff, while we revisit the raise for the position of superintendent, it's not,
Would you mind just before we do, because that could be a
Sure.
discussion.
Okay.
Just for my benefit, because
Yeah.
we've been all over the place, on the building projects,
Mhm.
at 96,475, which ones are we doing with 2021 money? Because originally we had $60,975 identified. You
Yeah.
subtract those two numbers, you get 35,500. So what are the projects?
well,
And it's
Al
on-
brought those things in
Yeah, it's on
yesterday.
page 57. Page 57. and then we-
Oh, it is?
Well, no, it's not on page, we brought
Oh.
those things in.
Yeah.
So 1 through
So
Yeah,
we
I
7.
probably
subtract,
put it-
we subtracted 20. All right, we took that off. Then we added the removal of the fuel tanks for $30,000.
Yep.
Okay.
We added the topsoil shed demolition
Yep.
canopy for
Yep.
$12,000.
Yep.
Okay.
We added $5,000 to paint the fascia on the town hall.
Yep.
We added $8,500 to replace the overhead door in the highway garage,
Yep.
Okay, beautiful.
Right.
So
to
the-
get to a total of $96,475 for that.
And the 20 was, you said, what was the 20 that we subtracted out? What was that for?
That was the cold storage building
Cold storage
utilities.
fund, Okay. Okay, good, thank you. All righty, so I'm sorry, Bob.
Now, there, and I'm glad
We took out
you
the
brought that up,
17.6
because
too.
if we still
No, I'm
haven't
talking
gotten an
about
answer
what
from
was
the
already-
village as
what was
far as what
already
they want to do with renting that, they might want to rent some of that space, which would be an additional revenue that we haven't accounted for because we don't have any contracts. So that could be an additional, you know, $1,200, $1,300 a month, which would be kind of nice.
Okay, good.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So, you want to talk about that position? I know, people are probably sick of talking about that. Do we need to have any more discussion? I mean, I think that position, taken aside, again, you know, we're not talking about, you know, any one, we don't own any of those positions. We don't own the counselor's position, we don't own the supervisor's position, clerk, or the highway superintendent. That's, you know, that's not like a civil service position. but I think that that position needs to have incremental increases, and I'm suggesting we do a $5,000 increase this year, and look at next year of maybe doing another incremental increase until we get it to where we need to be. And I think we should do that with, across the board for, you know, I'm sure there's some employees looking. I think we should do that with all the employees. Our employees, I've watched them for a year now, and I'm very pleased with our employees. I think they do a good job. I think they're conscientious. And I think they should at least be in the middle of the road across the board. I think that's what we should strive to do in the next few years. So for this position, because that hasn't had an increase since 2013, I think we should start now and add another 5,000 to that position. We'll start with Rome.
I made my position last night. I agree with you about the incremental raises. I think that we can start next year. It's an election year. I think that the public should have an idea of what the position pays. If we want to have a strategy on where we want to get the position, let's discuss it at the beginning of next year and let the public know. And let's just be transparent about it. I don't think that we should be giving elected officials a raise the year of COVID. There's a lot of people that are in the private sector that aren't government employees or have a government job that are out of work, that the idea of having a raise at all this year is ludicrous. People barely have a job. So I agree the position is underfunded. You don't have to convince me on that. I just think how we go about funding it and when we go about funding it should be the conversation. But I am one board member.
Well, I think we're being transparent about it. There's
Well,
nothing, nothing non-transparent. I mean,
Right.
that's why we're putting this on
Right.
video, because audio is difficult to watch, but this is so people can see what we're talking about, how we got to where we got, and you know, I think, you know, we wanted a 0% increase, and we're going to be there.
Absolutely.
You know, I think that's even if we do the 5% or the $5,000 increase for that position, we're still going to be under that zero.
Significantly. So what I mean though is if we have the conversation and put a plan in place
Yeah,
for
gotcha.
all the elected officials that we feel are under the position that they need to be. You know, it's an election year. Let the public know ahead of time. This is what the position's going to pay. This is what the board's vision for the position is. I think that we're going into a 4-year term. I think the community would be better served to have that information prior to a vote on that position. So that's just my position on it. I don't think giving raises this year for elected officials is a good idea.
Okay.
But reasonable people can disagree.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's 3 people left.
All right, that's not. Obviously, this is a difficult discussion. Roman, again, you make a lot of good points. And also, Bob, I agree that it is underfunded and has been for quite some time. We've been working lean. I will also say that we have worked diligently and had many, many heated discussions over the past 4 years to get us in the position, in the nick of time, to be able to be where we're at today with a 0% tax hike, if that is indeed how it boils down. But, and you know, we've had some very heated discussions doing that, and we have held, you know, we've held this town running very lean for that whole time. Whether this year or next year is a better year to adjust that position, I believe to, you know, if we want to entice talent into that position, we might want to start this year and maybe, you know, maybe add to it next year, maybe not. But we are in a position, and I don't know that we're going to be in a position next year. I do know that we have worked hard for 4 years and had very heated discussions over these documents to try to get us, and again, like I said, in the nick of time, because as David knows, and you guys know, we came out of a huge hole to get here. And I don't think that this is going to put us back into a hole, but it might bring us out on the sunny side by you bring talent. So I'm, at this point, I am for it.
So I'll chime in at this point. I think the only way you can look at this is to look at it objectively, divorced from the idea that you're giving this particular highway superintendent a raise. Unfortunately, even though I'm looking at the viewers who are watching it, nobody will pick up on that. Oh, you're giving the highway superintendent a raise. How could you do that? It's COVID time and everybody else is really scrimping and saving. And you know what? They're right, but except the perception is wrong. We're not giving that individual a raise. Obviously, the individual benefits because he or she is in that position. The only reason I can support this is because it is a woefully underfunded position. And it's not even about attracting talent down the road. I don't know what we're doing down the road. Right now, we've got a highway superintendent title that is, what, $20,000 shy of what most other folks are making?
It's, yeah, 17,000 less than the average.
Right. So
And his brings the average down, so probably 20.
It would have been nice had, starting in 2000, when was it, 12 or 13, we raised it $2,000 or $3,000 a year, every year, and we didn't do that. And there were other reasons we didn't do that, unfortunately, and without going into any great detail. So I have to tell myself, why would I support this? I support it because it's an objectively correct thing to do, has nothing to do with the individual in the job.
Well, I think we have the votes here already, right? So, good.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter
Still
what I
have-
think.
probably
Yeah.
still
But,
share.
you know, I look at it this way, you know, Roman, I agree with you in the perspective of it's never a good year. When is a good year, right? I look at the job history and the last time that position was funded appropriately was 10 years ago, right? So if it's not COVID this year, or if it's COVID this year, what's next year? What's the year after that? We do have the money, you know, I think all of us, I can't say 4 years, you know, I've only been on here for 10 months. I think we all did a great job working together to come up with the numbers that we have. That's it. It's never a good year.
Reasonable people can disagree.
And that's what incremental increases does. You don't have an overwhelming amount. You don't have 20,000 in 1 year. You don't have 10,000 in 1 year. You have incremental increases, and then once we get these positions to where we need to be, we're not going to have these large increases. We won't have to do it. But I mean, that extra 5,000, that's another $18,000 that I see added to it. That's still going to keep us under that. We're still going to be in the black
We'll
as far as.
probably be a fraction of a cent under, maybe.
It'll be
Fraction of a
it'll
cent.
be
Yeah,
it'll
under.
be 6,000.
As long as we're under, we're good.
Yeah, it'll be 6,000 though.
What?
It'll be 6,000. 5 for the highway superintendent and approximately 1,000 for the town clerk.
She's already in.
She's already.
We've already factored that raise.
We already
Okay.
factored that.
Yeah, I thought you decided that last night, so, yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, so we're still under. We're under that zero. That was what we wanted to do. We wanted to come in, we came in with a 0% budget, no increased budget. We did, I mean, if you look at the things, if people look at the things that we got done, we eliminated some stuff and added some stuff, but we covered a lot of things. I mean, you look at this management plan here, with the equipment. I mean, we're adding some additional equipment. We're sticking right to it with no increase. Personally, I'm pretty pleased. I wish I would have bet the county legislator, our county legislator, thought we were going to have a hard time doing it. So.
That's fine.
It wasn't easy, but
Well,
he didn't
with
say
the
we
help of all of
couldn't.
us,
He
you
didn't
know.
say we couldn't, you know, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Good.
Is there anything else we need to do for this? How are we looking? As far as the total job?
Um, Just about break even. Just about break even. We're at
That's
5.
perfect.
We just increased it 0.5676 and it was 0.5573. So yeah, we're still at no increase basically. Or a fraction of a penny maybe.
Well, we have room, there's room for that too, in these other numbers too, I believe.
So we could say no increase?
Yeah.
I'd wait till we adopt.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
Yeah, because they're very well,
we
they're
have
very well.
no matter
might
what,
be
if
something that comes up in the public hearing that we say, oh, yeah,
Right,
but
you're right.
yes, oh yeah, that's why we have the public.
I mean, we have a nice fund balance that we can address those things, so it gives us a little cushion. But we still want to, I think we still, even if we have to add something in there, we have enough of a fund balance where I think we should still strive to have that 0% increase for people. Because to Roman's point, people are out of work, and I get it, you know, and they shouldn't have to pay anything additional this year.
I agree. 100%.
So, flip side of that, say if, yeah, I'm good. Just thinking out loud.
Well, yeah, the mistake that some administrations make, and I was so glad, so pleased with you two coming on board, stating that what you wanted to do was keep the tax rate level. What some towns and some administrations have done in this town is, oh, we've got a big fund balance, let's give it back, let's do a tax break. And you know, that sounds so appealing politically to people, and it's such a big mistake, because there's a balance between having too much in the fund balance, like the neighboring town has a lot of money in their fund balance, and maybe they should consider giving some of that back, but I'm not here to judge what that town does. But for us, you know, what this enables us to do is keep our tax rates stable. So next year, 2021, barring some insane emergency, we're going to be in the same shape we're in right now.
Yes and no, but that's where we got to look at what we're going to have to do is do a survey, our building survey of building and equipment. So I know we're going to increase that a substantial amount. 5,000 is not the number. I can tell you it's substantially more than that. How much more? I don't know until we do that. But that's once we get through this year, and then we have that fund balance, because we know we're going to do that next year. And like Dave and I said, it'll probably take 5 years to get where we're going at. So there is going to be an increase next year.
But you'll never raise taxes by 38%.
No.
Or
No.
18%.
And then cut them.
And then
by 20%.
No, and that's why.
That's the beauty of what
Yeah,
we're
and-
doing this as business people.
And if you have a strategic plan moving forward, you have small incremental increases, and then when we get to that 5-year plan, then we pay off some debt. Now it stabilizes. And in the meantime, we're still fixing our assets, we're buying new equipment, which we needed to do. We're doing all of these things. So we get to that 5-year plan, or to the end of that 5-year. I mean, just take the truck. We'll use the Parks truck, just for an example. That Parks trucks we paid $25,000 for last year. We're trading it in for $27,000. We made $2,000. Drove it a year and made $2,000. Didn't put anything into it. No maintenance, no nothing.
Tires.
And we got a brand new truck coming in.
Right.
You know, that's lowering our costs right there. So we're doing all the right things. By refinancing, we save tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, we're doing all the right things. So I think, you know, we look to get, you know, those small incremental increases, and we stabilize that tax rate. We don't need that, and you're absolutely right. That's what the comptroller says. Towns that do that, they shouldn't be doing it. They should look to stabilize it. And sometimes you do have to have an increase, but shouldn't be 30%. That's for sure.
Well, and I like the next step to the plan, the idea of setting up reserve, planning ahead, looking at our costs, checking out the depreciation, how long is it going to take until we need a new roof, and having real numbers, have those reserve funds based on real numbers. And I love that idea, love it, because it is setting this town up for success for decades to come if we can get it in place.
And we adjust it every year. You know, we get a 10-year plan this year. Next year, we look at it, okay, we got another 10-year plan, and then another 10-year plan. And it's going to move a little bit. It's going to go up, might come down, you know, all depends. You know?
No, but I think it's great.
Yeah. Okay. I know everybody wants to go home, so I say that's a wrap.
Before 9, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Holy cow, Jim should have come tonight.
Yeah.